It was March 22nd, 2020, a date engraved in my memory for reasons I never expected. The world was unraveling, locked inside due to the pandemic, and our house had become a quiet island in a sea of chaos. It was just me, Amina Kalu, and my son Kwame, a young man who had matured far beyond his years. The day began like any other, quiet, uneventful. Kwame had been spending more time with me lately, volunteering to help around the house and making sure I was okay. As a single mother, I got unused to carrying life's weight on my own. But having Kwame around was a blessing I hadn't realized I needed. His presence reminded me I wasn't as alone as I often felt, even during the most isolating of times. That evening, I sat in our modest living room, the day's stress weighing heavily on my shoulders. My back ached, a familiar pain that spoke of years spent working hard to raise my son. Kwame noticed, like he always did. Without a word, he brought over a chair and softly asked if he could massage my back. I paused. This wasn't something we usually did, but the sincerity in his eyes left no room for hesitation. I nodded. He began gently, his hands surprisingly firm, yet cautious. As he worked, a rush of gratitude surged through me. We didn't speak at first, the quiet only broken by the low hum of the television. I let my eyes close, finally giving myself permission to relax, something I rarely allowed. His hands moved with steady care, and for the first time in weeks, the tension in my shoulders began to loosen. Then, in a quiet, steady voice, Kwame broke the silence. You've done so much for me, Mama. I don't think I've thanked you enough. His words surprised me. I opened my eyes, touched. You don't need to thank me, Kwame. You're my son. Everything I've done has been for you. He paused, still massaging. I know, but it's not just about what you've done. It's who you are. You're the strongest person I know. His words warmed something in me I hadn't realized was cold. I wanted to respond, but the lump in my throat made it hard. Instead, I reached back and rested my hand on his briefly, a silent acknowledgement. As he continued, my thoughts drifted. Kwame wasn't just my child, he was my reason for pushing through, my pillar when I was close to falling. In him, I saw the best of me, even through years marked by betrayal and hardship. In that moment, as he tended to my pain, I felt something deeper than gratitude, an unbreakable bond. A familiar weight returned to my chest, a heaviness I had buried long ago. Kwame's gesture stirred memories I had locked away. My ex-husband's face emerged in my mind, uninvited, unwelcome. I remembered his cold gaze when I confronted him, the lies he spun, and the shards of our marriage that no apology could ever repair. For years, I blamed myself. I wondered if I wasn't enough, if I had somehow driven him away. But time had taught me his betrayal was never a reflection of my worth. It was his failure. Kwame had shown me that, even as a boy, he had been my anchor in a storm I didn't think I could survive. You're quiet, Mama, Kwame said softly. Are you okay? I hesitated. Should I burden him with the ghosts of my past? But Kwame had always seen through me. I'm fine, I replied eventually, though my voice gave away the truth. Is it about Baba? He asked gently. I didn't respond immediately. His question lingered in the space between us. He had been too young to fully understand back then, but I knew he felt the tension in our home. Sometimes it's hard not to remember, I admitted. He paused his hands, then continued, slower this time. You didn't deserve what he did, Mama. It was never your fault. His words washed over me like a wave. I had told myself that same truth for years, but hearing it from my son, my heart broke open in a different way. I blinked back tears, inhaled deeply, and whispered, I know, but forgetting, that's the hard part. You're stronger than you think, he said quietly. You taught me what love really looks like, even after everything. The lump returned to my throat, but now it carried pride. Kwame understood love and loyalty better than most men I knew. I glanced over my shoulder and noticed the hesitation in his expression. Is something wrong? I asked softly. He hesitated. There's something I've been meaning to tell you. My back straightened. His voice carried the weight of something long held. What is it, Kwame? It's about Baba, about what I saw before everything collapsed. My heart sank. Kwame had barely spoken about his father since the divorce. I assumed silence was his way of healing. But now, hearing the tremor in his voice, I knew he had been holding in his own pain. I didn't know how to tell you back then, he continued, but I saw him with her, that woman. His confession landed like a punch. I suspected Kwame may have sensed the truth, but I never imagined he witnessed it himself. Oh, Kwame, I began, but he raised his hand gently. I was just a kid, he said, eyes clouded, but I remember it clearly. He didn't even see me standing there. I wanted to tell you, but I didn't want to hurt you more. Tears brimmed in my eyes, but I held them in. The strength it must have taken for him to carry that memory all these years. You were a child, I whispered. It wasn't your job to protect me. But you always protected me, he replied, his voice cracking. Even when you were breaking, you held me together. I wanted to do the same for you. I squeezed his hand again, overwhelmed by the depth of his words. You've given me more than you know, Kwame, I said, my voice thick. Your strength, your love, it's been my anchor. He looked at me then, eyes filled with something raw and honest. I made a promise that day, he said. I'd never be like him. I'd never hurt someone the way he hurt you. My throat tightened again, but now with pride. Despite the pain he had seen, he had become someone so much better. Kwame, you are nothing like him, I said steady. You've shown me what love looks like, not through words, but through who you are. He smiled, small, but true. Thank you, Mama. That means everything. The moment between us was heavy, but healing. My back wasn't the only thing that felt lighter. My heart did too. For the first time in years, I felt a piece of my pain begin to fall away. Kwame resumed the massage, now even gentler. I realized this wasn't just an act of kindness. It was something deeper, a moment of connection, of trust, of unspoken love. I had spent years building walls to protect my heart, but now with his hands on my back and his love so freely given, I realized those walls had only kept love out. The betrayal, the heartbreak, it all felt far away. Now, Kwame was my reason to keep going, not just as my son, but because of who he had become. Caring, loyal, strong. I had watched him grow from a child into a man who hadn't been defined by our past, but refined by it. Love, I understood now, wasn't about perfection. It was about showing up, about choosing to care, even when it's hard. Mama, Kwame's voice brought me back. Yes, my son, I'm glad we talked today. I think I needed it. I smiled, warmth rising in my chest. Me too, Kwame, more than you know. A calm silence settled between us. The past still existed, but it no longer controlled us. We had found healing through love, through truth, through each other. As Kwame stepped back and I sat up, my body felt lighter. But more than that, so did my spirit. A chapter had closed, a new one had begun. Thank you, Kwame, I said, voice trembling, for everything. He smiled, eyes shining. Always, Mama. You don't have to thank me. I love you. I met his gaze. And in that moment, I knew whatever life threw our way, we face it together. And that was enough.